Hi, and welcome back to Vintage Super League. Had some technical difficulty with Rodrigo. He should be back commentating on later rounds, but we were lucky enough to have Aaron Campbell step in and rescue us. So thank you very much for jumping in on short notice.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I missed you guys so much I couldn't stay away.
So yeah, my round was mostly last week. I lived by the Tinker, and today I died by the Tinker. So that
I would say last week you lived by the Managerain as somebody who walked into 3 of them. I was like, how many is he running?
The answer was too many. Yeah, far too many.
So
now we have Rich, Shay, and Randy coming up, and we don't know what they're playing. So now it's time to guess. Typically, I'd put Randy on some sort of wild combo deck, whether it's Outcome or Storm. But I mean, he did already try 4 bargains without winning too many matches, or Merfolk. I mean, sometimes it's a mix with hate bears, but he does seem to like to go back to Merfolk pretty regularly in Vintage Super League.
Okay. Yeah, he also has an appreciation for Dredge. I don't know if many of you know this, but I have caught him playing Dredge, and so I have also caught Rich with a Bazaar in his hand a couple of times, and so I'm kind of rooting for some Dredge. We haven't seen dead things at all since this thing started, and I can't be doing it for everybody.
Dredge is wildly underrepresented in Vintage Super League, and it has been mostly from the beginning. As evidenced by my sideboard last week.
Yeah, I have to say when we were able to see each other's deck lists, and I have to say looking at your deck list, I was like, man, I should have played Dredge this week because I could have had some fun.
Oh yeah, I just gave up that matchup. That was it. Just was what it was. And then Rich, I think Rich has a tremendously wide range.
Yes.
He has 5-0'd certainly within the last month with Ravager shops in leagues. I ran into him in a league playing, a blue-red Dak Faden restricted card deck. I don't exactly know what shell it was, but that was where he was heading with it. Do you have any more background on Rich's preferences?
I don't have background necessarily, but I know you can certainly attest to this, Bob, that sometimes you hear people joke about a player being so good that they can do well with a ham sandwich. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard that metaphor before. I think of Rich Shay that way. I've seen him play Paradoxical Storm. I've seen him play Paradoxical Oath. I remember I caught him playing a Hollowed Vengevine list one day for giggles. I've seen him play shops. I feel like there's nothing you can't give him that he can't turn into a winning deck. And so I don't know. I think it could be anything.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Oath. When I played against him in the league, I was actually working on a brew that didn't pan out, but I played a Goblin Welder against him. While he was wildly excited to see a Goblin Welder, he certainly wasn't playing them. So
yeah, I played Saheeli Oath the other day practicing for these events, and it's so much fun. I think that's another deck that's kind of underrepresented in the larger scheme of things. I feel like I've not seen that deck in a while, and if I could get the cards for it, my boyfriend's using his power though, so if I could get the power in time for EW, I seriously considered playing it because it's so much fun.
All right, well, I guess at this point we don't have to guess any longer. We can go down to the match and take a look.
Here we go. Does that say shops till you drop?
Shops till you drop. There's a spyglass there.
Oh no. That is a card that Dredge players have been afraid of ever since we saw it previewed, because that's bad news bears for us.
Well, you'll have to give me the rundown on it because I have no idea what it does.
So it costs 2 colorless. You are able to look at somebody's hand. You're able to look at the opponent's hand. And then after you do that, you get to name the card and you get a Pipping Needle effect. Okay. And so, being able to know exactly what your opponent is running and having an answer to that if it has activated abilities is terrifying, especially when you are playing a deck like with Mishra's Workshops where getting 2 mana is something you could do on turn 1. So naming Bazaar of Baghdad is a bad scene for us.
Fair.
So Rich chose to play the creature first.
Well, and he can also follow up with, even if this
The
gets Force
Moxen.
Willed, 2 Moxes and whichever the last artifacts in his hand.
Oh, Randy says no, sir.
Randy has put himself down to the eventual dig through time.
Oh. Do you agree with that? Do you think that was worth countering?
He had nothing going on, and once his opponent shows a workshop, that mental misstep in his hand is nearly useless. So, sure, I think I would take a jump at the first bit of clock they try and throw at me. So we'll get to see what he names with the spyglass here. Flooded Strand.
A Pithing Needle on a fetch land has been the downfall of many a player.
Well, the Mana Vault will certainly get Randy closer to dig through time, but those Flooded Strands in his hand. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'm going back to putting variable fetch lands in all of my blue decks now.
Yeah, that's something I did when I was playing Modern Dredge, specifically because people can sometimes catch you with that. And so I remember running this smattering of like 2 Deltas, 2 Tarns, two Catacombs, because you definitely don't want to go down like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Randy's really got to draw non-flooded strands, and soon.
Yeah.
He now has plenty of mana hardcast to dig through time should he happen to find a second blue.
Yeah.
And
very good start from Rich, though.
It's a good start, but the problem is there's no resistance.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I mean, if Randy hits that second blue in the next 2 turns here, I think he's a wild favorite.
Yeah. Oh, those don't go.
That's worse. Yeah, that's both resistance and a clock. So
very polarizing card too. I see a lot of discussion to this day, even regarding whether or not Lodestone, should be restricted, should be allowed to flourish, and it's a very popular card.
So Randy has a turn to hit that blue mana. Oh, he's going to try and up the clock here. Right now he's coming in for 5, now 6. So next turn would be lethal with him sacking the Spyglass.
Yeah, Randy could certainly do with that good stuff in the name of his deck. We need some good stuff, Randy.
Yeah, it's time to see what the top 3 involve. So the Spyglass really getting work done. Wow. I'm glad I got to spectate it instead of just having it done to me the first time. I would have sat here reading it 5 times. Really? That's really what it does?
For real, for real? Yeah, there's certainly been cards, me being sort of the vintage neophyte here. I've certainly read many cards where I'm like, is this happening right now? And oh yeah, that happens a lot in vintage.
Yeah, I'm just feeling fortunate that card won't have much effect on us, as we're in more or less the mirror match.
Yeah. What were the players before them playing tonight?
So I was playing Ravager Shops.
Okay.
And Rodrigo was playing some sort of... we didn't get to see a whole lot of his deck, or at least I didn't. Some sort of blue-black Mox's artifact mana. He just tinkered out Colossus on turn 1, games 2 and 3.
Oof. Yeah, I personally have not seen a lot of chops since the restriction. I've certainly played in several leagues myself, and I think I've played it once in the hands of Bob Wong, and then I faced... so Rich Shay gets this one, but yeah, I just haven't faced a lot of chops lately. I'm curious if that's going to be the case at EW, Eternal Weekend, as well.
So I had been working on a couple of brews that never quite came together all week, and I just shamelessly stole my list from one of the guys who's been just grinding vintage leagues over and over. So
we're getting a better look at Randy's list. I see Balance. I see the Key Combo. I see Notion Thief. Flusterstorm. Is that a Ray of Revelation in his sideboard? I think it is.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's a Ray of Revelation. Bless his heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh.
Target enchantment. I can't even imagine what enchantment he's.
Yeah, I
Randy,
used it in I used it in Modern. I see Caracas as well.
It's interesting. He has a Caracas also. Didn't notice if that came in from the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, Randy, like I said, typically I put him on some sort of combo deck or Merfolk. Sometimes
Shout out to Randy for having the black border Merchant Scroll. I'm definitely one of those people who's very anal about white border and black border cards, and good on you, Randy.
I go out of his way to troll people with a white border card.
Oh, you're that guy.
Yes, like oftentimes if I have like basic mountain in my sideboard, it'll be white bordered. Like if I'm going to beat a shot player with a mountain, it's going to be white bordered.
My boyfriend and I had a serious conversation when I saw a playset of white border Blood Moons on his computer desk. I was like, what am I going to tell my grandchildren? Like this needs to be fixed.
So Randy has a very real chance of just winning on turn 1.
Oh my goodness. Much better start than last game.
So now he has to decide whether he wants to keep 3 mana or, keep an extra mana or draw an extra card.
Ooh. There's Time Vault.
Yep, just digging for a key now.
I like that Randy has so many ways to win. You know, he does sort of have the Blightsteel plan if you need it. He does have the just going for the key combo if he needs it. I really appreciate that. I feel like a lot of these decks just have the one out, and I'm not sure that that's the best plan.
Well, and Randy has a mentor, and because he has the mentor, a Colossus, and the Vault Key, I don't believe he's playing a Tendrils.
Mm-hmm. Turn 1 paradoxical outcome. Wow.
Now, it's certainly not going to generate enough mana, even with the Hurkyl's Recall, to hardcast the Blightsteel, but at least it's put a Force of Will online.
Yeah. So if you're rich, what do you play here?
I think I play the Lotus. Maybe I Chalice for 0, and then I sacrifice the Lotus and see if the Sphere of Resistance hits.
Okay.
But I really want to wasteland that Academy, but I don't want to lose the extra mana from the Lotus either.
Yeah. Chalice is restricted in this format, which is so strange for me coming from Legacy and Modern where you can run 4. Nice to see it's just 1. He's going to play the Revoker.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't have pegged that for being one of the first lines of play.
Well, it's going to get tough now if Rich just gets Hurkyl's when he casts whatever this next artifact is.
I mean, it'll be tough for him. It'll be entertaining for us.
So he is just going to lose the odd mana off of Black Lotus, which really doesn't leave him with much of a clock, with his opponent still having 2 mana.
Yeah.
This all just comes down to Randy drawing some business.
Yeah. So Rich is getting in there with the Revoker.
I think it's very tempting to skip a turn, untap the Time Vault on one of these turns where my opponent doesn't have much going on, in order to take an extra one when they have a large board. But Randy really just is on the edge of really just needing another business spell. And now if he gets one more land drop, he can hardcast the Force of Will instead of removing his Hurkyl's. Not that I can imagine there's going to be anything he needs to Force of Will anytime soon.
Yeah. I can definitely say, as somebody who's been on the other end of a hard cast force of will. It's definitely a pivotal moment when you realize that your opponent can do that. Like, you realize that you play the game very differently after that point.
Yeah, well, it's usually very telling. It's usually either my opponent's hand is terrible and has nothing going on because he's drawn nothing but land, he or she's drawn nothing but lands, or their hand, or the game is totally lost.
Absolutely.
They've decided they can do whatever they want. They're just going to cast these things.
It's very demoralizing. We're like, oh, no big.
Wow, so Randy does hit, somewhat of a business spell in Ancestral Recall and just draws more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
At least he does have a mix this time of search lands.
Mm-hmm. He's not going to fall for that spyglass trick again.
Yeah, no, he probably just needs to sack them both. Yeah, the field beds.
I once had somebody in Legacy play a Chalice for 1 against me. I was on Dredge, and then he followed it up with a Grafdigger's Cage, and I kind of got my life a little bit there. You had to balance that, being compassionate. Oh God, that's terrible. Like, and then the inside, you're just sort of dancing a jig.
Oh, thank goodness for your Chalice. Well, Randy can run out the second Opal because they're not terribly useful, and it'll fuel the cruise.
Yeah.
I still don't think right now I would put out the Mana Crypt.
I wouldn't either. That's also a really sweet way to defeat somebody, is with their own Mana Crypt. Feels very good.
So yeah, Rich and I's decks are very similar. It looks like he's running a version with more creatures and no Tanglewire, I'm guessing. And I would guess Randy and Rodrigo are running very similar decks. Like I said, I didn't get to see much of Rodrigo's deck. I saw a bunch of restricted cards on a couple of turn ones. And then when I won game 1, I just played a sphere each turn for like the first four turns.
Tanglewire is a noticeable omission from the shop's decks. I have not seen that in a while. And I remember when I first got into Vintage, I was facing it all the time, and I've noticed its absence for a while.
Yeah. So Randy finally has his graveyard where he wants it to cruise. I really would have powered it with that Opal, but...
Yeah. Another Hercules and a Lotus.
Well, he's not very worried about dying anytime soon. Oh, and the field beds.
Chalice is doing work.
Yeah, Chalice is doing work on both sides.
Yeah. Some intentionally, some not.
Yeah.
Another sphere.
Yeah, he's just not going to be able to cast it. He's not really going to be able to cast much of anything anytime soon. And wastelanding one of the lands doesn't take Randy off of a specific color of mana. It doesn't really affect much.
Yeah.
So this is probably just attack for 5 and say go.
Yeah. Randy coming off such
a... At least it means Randy's facing lethal next turn.
Yeah, Randy started, very impressively, and to see it kind of, skid to a halt like this is crushing.
Yeah.
There's Mentor.
Oh, well, that will make a big difference.
Yeah. I can turn this car around real quick.
So
even with the Chalice out...
Make it. Yeah, you can turn your 0 casting cost things into creatures and power up your others.
Yeah, it's important to note that the spells don't have to resolve, so he can just run them into the chalice to get the mentor tokens and make them bigger.
Yeah, that chalice will be off the board soon.
Is the mentor enough, though? He's at 6.
Oh, I think it's plenty with double Hercules Recall. This one's over by a lot.
Okay.
I mean, boy, I don't even know what Rich's plan is here necessarily.
He's certainly done a good job of keeping us guessing, even with full information. We've looked at his hand and tried to predict plays, and he's taken very different lines than what we would expect.
So Randy can block the Ballista here, make him use his last mana, making that Mishra's Factory 1 bigger, and then also wait and see if he's going to remove the counter from the Ballista to do 1 to Randy, to actually attempt to kill him.
Yeah.
Just to use that last mana and get the Ballista off the board.
Oh, here it comes.
Randy not worried about the Ballista coming off the board. He would just like to move along. And so Rich has no more land drops left. And let's see, at 20, he can play 2 more artifacts, Hercules himself, play 6 more spells. So that's 9 spells. That's plenty. He can just Hercules himself and attack with an 11-11 and a 10-10.
Wow. Turning the game around.
He can probably cast the Blightsteel Colossus just for good measure, but... Oh, okay. The Chalice for 0 will prevent that.
Mm-hmm. It would have been really entertaining for the folks at home to see the hard cast Blightsteel.
Oh, excuse me, and I didn't notice. Rich Shay, it looks like, did use his Ballista to kill the token the Mentor made, so it still wouldn't have been lethal.
Yeah.
I was assuming he'd want that to go back in his hand, but since he already had one in his hand, he decided against it.
Here comes the Sensei's Divining Top Mentor shenanigans.
Yes, the token, as it were. And it looks like we have arrived on Monk time. This is...
Monk time, I like that.
Well, I mean, just waiting to see what happens next. Oh, he'll just go get the key. He'll take all of the turns, all of them.
Just in case you thought this Mentor wasn't enough.
Yeah. Okay, Rich, don't steal 3 minutes of every viewer's life. I mean, it's piling up real human hours at this point. Every minute he makes this go on.
See, that's another reason I like Vintage. Most of the time the games are over quickly, which I appreciate. I have food to eat, a phone to charge, I have things to do. I remember I was testing for an invitational back in January, and I had 8 lands out at one point. I was playing Black, Green, Delirium, and Standard, and I just didn't understand what was going on. I was like, what? Like, turn 8? I don't understand. Like, my attention span just disappeared after turn 8.
Right. So, wow, Randy has a Croson grip.
Love it.
It's impressive.
Foil Croson grip, for that matter.
See, that's the deck where it's even better if you have just that whiteboarded land in it. Like foil Moxes, a foil Tolarian Academy, and then just whiteboarded island.
Oh, my soul hurts, Bob.
It's delightful.
I remember I was facing a young man who was on Lantern Control once, and they run Ensnaring Bridge, and he had 3, and they were all different, and I was just twitching throughout the whole thing.
I will say that is one thing that bugs me when I'm playing. I'd like to have everything with the same picture. just so I don't have to expend any of my own mental energy making sure if they saw my hand, which one they saw. But yeah, I don't always succeed there, but I certainly like to do this deck.
Is anybody surprised that Randy's wallpaper is evacuation? No, I'm the girl at the pre-release who spends 7 minutes at the land station because I can't bear to play my deck if the lands don't match. I'm organizing my little piles, and I've made adjustments to my sealed deck because I didn't have enough.
I mean, when I'm playing at a big event, I will typically match the basic lands. Okay. I just don't mind if they are all 7th edition white bordered lands. It's great because it gets that reaction from some people.
Yeah.
Some people just can't stop perseverating over it. I mean, especially if you're playing a 2-color deck and half of them are beta and half of them are white border, it's ideal.
What was the word you used? Perseverating?
Yeah.
Remind me not to play Scrabble with you, Bob. Perseverating? Wow. I see a Tinker in Randy's hand. Is that a disenchant I see, too?
It's Tinker and a disenchant. The problem is there's no artifacts, which makes both the Academy and the Tinker a lot worse.
Oof. Rich with 2 metamorphs.
Yeah, Randy on a 6-card hand. And on the draw against shops, I mean, I think you keep the 2 search land hand. So now Randy is a turn away from tinkering out something useful. Now, he does not realize that if he tinkers out the Colossus, Rich will end up with at least 1, if not 2 of them.
Oof. Battle of the Colossi.
Yeah, Randy playing a dual land to get wastelanded there, so he couldn't play both metamorphs, but
yeah.
That Revoker is going to come down and turn off the Mana Vault. Oh, maybe he's going for the full suite of Foundry Inspectors to get his whole clock on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if he's going to save one or not.
He's going to stop. He's going to stop.
That is the best defense you can get to a Colossus at that point. And that is more defense than I possess in my deck.
So you probably would have played the second Metamorph.
Yeah, I'm still out of touch with what to do or not to do in Shops decks in general. This was a last-second audible for me when I couldn't quite get my other decks to work properly. So, and one of the main reasons I don't play much Shops is because I am not good at sequencing. Yeah. I am just terrible at getting the right things out at the right time. Oh, Rich is clicking on it. He's really debating whether or not that Metamorph should come out or not. Because if he plays the Metamorph, if Randy doesn't have some sort of acceleration, he still outraces a Colossus.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yep, Caracas, it gets wastelanded, but it does power up that disenchant. I think you still end up just playing the Scalding Tarn and saying go. I mean, you have no idea that your opponent's hand is that Metamorph.
If you had to disenchant something, what would you prefer be your target be?
The Revoker, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want my Mana Vault to get back to work.
Ooh.
Whoa. There's another very good choice for disenchant.
Oof.
We'll see if before Randy gets priority, if it just gets metamorphed right here also.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Hey, he tapped the Wasteland, though. So, oh, I thought Randy would go get a Tundra and respond by disenchanting that Chief of the Foundry right there. Unless it was lethal anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's 17.
Wow.
No, so if he disenchants... Oh, but then he's tapped out. I mean, if he disenchants the Revoker... I guess he only takes 15, but he's at 15.
Oh, there's no good answers here for Randy.
No. Yeah, this was bad news either way.
Yeah.
Now does he have to disenchant the Ravager? No, that's still 15, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no real out of this. I mean, I think you still just go for the Revoker because he at least has to sacrifice the Ruby.
Yeah. Randy's thinking. Here comes firing up the disenchant.
I still don't think he has any idea what to go after. And I can't say that I blame him, because none of them save him.
Yeah.
Actually, so what happens? I mean, if he goes for a Chief of the Foundry, it gets sacrificed. So I guess that's 14, and then he eats the Mox Ruby, and it's 15 again.
Yeah. The Ravager really changes the math on this one and gives Randy less options. The math is the reason I never played decks like this, and Affinity and Modern too. It's just usually when I'm playing Dreads, it's just I break it down to this many. I make this many zombies. Just, I don't know how much it is, but this many, and so it's usually game over.
Okay, yeah. So this does keep him alive.
Okay.
That'll get eaten by the Revoker. Even if the Ruby gets eaten by the Revoker, he goes. He does not have the benefit of his Mana Vault right now, so I don't know. Is he?
I mean, what could he even tinker for that gets him out of this? You know.
So it's one of those things. Like if he draws Lotus. No, I'm just trying to fit. If he draws Yawgmoth's Will.
Okay. Oh, Mana Crypt.
Yeah, there's no good solutions here. I doubt he has a Memory Jar or anything to give him a shot. Access to 6 mana, he gets to tinker for something.
Randy says, I'm not going down without a fight. He's tinkering.
He's going to get to block with that Colossus one time before this is over. Is he going for a top? And hope to get a Hercules recall?
It is technically an out, as far-fetched as it might seem.
I can't come up with anything better.
He did grab the top.
Well, we'll see where this leads us.
All right, top, don't fail me now. Oh, he didn't find it.
And he didn't get there.
All right. Good stuff, not good enough for Randy in this game.
Did not quite make it.
No. Shops. Sounds like Shops is having a big night here tonight.
Well, I lost the first one, too. Like I said, I'm not even entirely sure what Rodrigo was playing.
Okay.
So, I mean, really, it was turn 1 Ancestral into Lotus, Mox, Tutor, Tinker, put a Blight. Next one was just Land, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Tinker, Blightsteel into play. So there's a lot of decks that play Tutor, Ancestral, Tinker, and Blightsteel.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
Yeah. So who's up next? Rich versus...
it will be Randy versus Rodrigo.
Okay. Well, it's certainly been a pleasure doing coverage with you, Bob.
Thank you for subbing in, and thank you everyone out there watching for sticking around while we had some technical difficulties. I do think Rodrigo will be back later, and we can't wait to have him in the booth. Yeah. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Need the latest Magic the Gathering singles for Constructed? Casual cards